What is going on, YouTube? I'm Cooper, this is the CooperMusicPage, and today we're going to be learning how to play guitar in this video. So if you watched my Why I Quit Guitar video, I talked about how I learned guitar and how I watched a video and a couple of videos on YouTube back in the day and was able to pick it up. And when I learned that there was 4 chords that basically made up every single song, it made it easy to start learning things and get encouraged about learning things, and was able to learn songs and learn things really quickly and then improve from there. So I'm going to teach you those basics today that I learned all those years ago by just teaching you 4 chords and how to play them. And then all you got to do is rewatch the video until you get them down, then transition between them, and then use a kapoo to turn it into any chord progression you want up and down the neck for any key of any song. Realize that people learn different ways. This is just how I learned really quick when I was starting, and I'm going to try to help people that learn kind of like I do in this same way by showing them these basics that they need so that they can start building on them and learning things their way. We're going to do deep dives into all these chords and what you can do with them in later videos, just like I did with the G chord. But I want to get this out there so that everybody can start learning and start learning songs, so that you can be encouraged, like, hey, my practice is actually being productive. I'm actually learning songs, I'm actually learning things, and you can play pretty much any song you want, at least a passable level, to impress your friends and whatever. So we're going to be talking about some things that I'm going to assume you know about the guitar. This is the guitar. These are the frets. These are your fingers. We're going to be talking about your fingers like this: your index finger, your middle finger, your ring finger, and your pinky. I'm not going to really worry about our thumb here. And we're going to be talking about our strings as the E string, A string, D string, G string, B string, and E string. And then here are the fret spaces: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. You're going to need your tuner, so tune up your guitar like I showed you in my first guitar basics video. Pick if you would like, and eventually you will need a capo to change the key of all these chords, but the shapes are going to stay the same, and that's what's going to be really important, is that we're going to learn these 4 different shapes, and then we're going to be able to move them all over with the capo and get different sounds out of the chords. Alright, so zooming on in here, we have the first chord is going to be a G, and we're going to do that by placing our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, our index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. We're going to put our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and we're going to put our pinky finger right behind it on the 3rd fret of the high E string. We're going to make sure our fingers are lifted up so that we're not muting the strings that are open in between them, so we can hear each individual string ring out. Once you get all those, you can strum the whole thing, and that is your G chord. Go ahead and watch that back as many times as you have to until you get that right. Important things like I talked about in my G chord standalone video is make sure you're pressing down hard enough, but not so hard that you're actually changing the sound of the note. You want to make sure you press down as close to the frets as you can so that you get the cleanest sound. You're making the frets do the work. And you want to make sure you arch your fingers so that you're not muting any strings underneath each other and getting in your own way. It's going to take a little time to get this. You're going to have to learn how to stretch your hand a little bit, and this will be good practice, but keep doing that over and over again, get that muscle memory. And then once we start transitioning chords, the muscle memory will come. So that's the G chord. Next up we have the D chord, and it looks kind of like a D would, if you kind of picture that as a D. Alright? The beauty about this is we're going to go from our G chord to our D chord. We're only going to pick up the 2 fingers, your index and your middle finger, and we're going to move those down to the G string on the 2nd fret, index finger, G string, 2nd fret, and then middle finger, E string, 2nd fret. You're going to leave your ring finger planted on the 3rd fret of the B string right here, and we're going to get these notes. Okay? Once you make sure those all ring out, you can strum them all. We're going to kind of avoid these top 2 strings completely. In your strumming, we're kind of try to aim for just the D string and down. But if you hit it, it's no big deal. But yes, practice, same thing, arch your fingers so that you're not hurting yourself, you're not getting some dead notes in there. And make sure you press down so you get them to ring out nice and clear, and you can strum a D chord. And it's great because you have this little anchor point with your ring finger. So you go from a G chord to a D chord without even moving your ring finger. And then once you get that down, practice that shape and coming to that shape over and over from your G, right? Just keep practicing those two and watch this back as many times as you have. Jumping back into it, we're going to take all our fingers off. We're going to learn the E minor chord. And I touched on this in my bar chord video, but your E minor is just going to be your index and middle finger, and it's going to be your index finger on the second fret of the A string and your middle finger on the second fret of the D string. And that's it. So you want to make sure that you're not muting any of the other strings below them. You want to make sure that you, again, roll your fingers up so that you're not touching any of the other strings, and you're pressing down to get those clean notes. And then you can strum it, and you get an E minor chord. So far we have G, D, E minor, and then we're going to go to C. But we're going to do a C add 9. So your C chord looks like this. It's a whole nother shape. We're going to do a C add 9 like this, and you'll realize it kind of looks like a G. So go back to your G. Remember, middle finger on the 3rd fret, index finger on the 2nd fret, and then you have your 2 fingers down here on the 3rd fret, down here. We're going to take just the index finger and middle finger, move them both down 1 fret each. So now it's starting on the A string with your middle finger on the 3rd fret, and your index finger is now on the 2nd fret of the D string. And we're going to strum all those. Same principles. Lift your fingers so that you get clean notes all the way through. No dead notes, no out of tune pitches by pressing too hard or too light. And we're going to make sure we strum that just like the G chord. G chord, C add 9. We're just going to refer to this as a C chord for the ease of use. We're not going to get into any music theory adjacent stuff today, but that is technically called a C add 9. So we have the G chord to the D chord to the E chord to the C chord. Practice all of these shapes individually and then practice transitioning to them. Go back and watch this video and the different parts as many times as you need to. It took me a while. I watched a bunch of different videos a bunch of different times to make sure I knew what was going on. And then once you get that, you get all these shapes down, you can start your strumming and transitioning. And then that's pretty much every song known to man in just those 4 chords, right? And then once you realize that not every song that you're going to learn is in G, you could go ahead and you could put your capo on, say the 3rd fret, and then now you have that same shape. This is going to turn into the 1. So this turns into the 1st fret. If we're pretending that this capo is the nut now, this is your 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, you're going to do the same thing, right? And now you're playing in a different key and able to sing along to different songs. Alright, and then once you get that, you can start playing any song you want. You can just go... Heading down south to the land of the pines, thumbing my way into North Carolina. I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait, I'm yours. This is the way you left me, I'm not pretending. No hope, no love, no glory, no happy ending. Thanks, you beautiful star. Now I'm more lonely than before. That's okay. People killing, people dying, children hurting, even crying. When you practice what you preach, then you turn the other cheek. Cause you were amazing, and we did amazing things. If I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you will go. Don't let the days go by. Glycerin. Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took a midnight train going anywhere. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. That's the way it's gotta be, my daughter. pay attention to those chords. They are all the same, even though I changed up the order a little bit. Started with the E minor halfway through there. They are all just G, D, E minor, and C. All of them. And of course, they were not exactly in the right key. Once you find the right key, you can do it. But if you sing in a higher key, you can transpose them. Have a whole new video on this also. But you can always sing them in G, no problem, if that's in your range. So go back as many times as you have to. Learn how to make these shapes, learn how to make them ring out, and then once you get them all down, practice transitioning to them. And then once you get that, you can move it all over the neck to get into your key, and you're good to go. You're on your way to learning pretty much any song. I use a lot of songs from like the 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s in there, but you can probably do this to any song today. In fact, let's do a little experiment. I'm gonna look up a top song real quick. Today's pop hit. What is today's top pop hit? I Love You Baby featuring Emily Surf Mesa. Okay, so ILY, I Love You Baby, is today's top pop hit. Okay, we're gonna go over to find ILY chords. Okay, Surf Mesa, I Love You Baby, chords. Oh, okay, so this is just Frankie Valli. Okay, so today's top pop hit is a pop hit from, you know, the 50s or 60s, whenever Frankie Valli was a hit. I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm a lonely night. I love you, baby, trust in me when I say, oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay, oh, pretty baby. Love you, baby, let me love you. Something like that, if I remember Frankie Valli right. Yeah, so you can literally play any pop song, and then most other songs too, with just those 4 chords, at least when you're beginning. You can get it to sound good enough. Those aren't the exact chords that are being played in each of those songs, but you can fake it, and that's the important part. When I was learning the guitar, I wanted to fake it and do as little work as possible. So these are the bare minimum things you need to know, is how to play those chords right and how to transition between them smoothly, all right? This has been a quick little video on how to create these 4 chords and start playing real music so that you don't get discouraged thinking that your practice isn't leading to anything or any growth, okay? So watch this video as many times as you need to, get those chord shapes down, transition between them, start strumming, and then stick around for new videos. I'll teach you new strumming pattern, I'll teach you new chords, teach you new music theory adjacent stuff, nothing crazy. And we'll go and build from there together. So give this video a like if you got something out of it. I appreciate you guys stopping by. I have new videos every Monday, shorts on Sundays, and do live streams every single Wednesday, so stop by for that. And until next time, keep on rocking.